Hi, my name is Meris, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about different types of patient positions. I'm going to be following along using our Fundamentals of Nursing flashcards. These are available on our website, leveluprn.com, if you want to grab a set for yourself. Or if you are more of a fan of digital products, I would invite you to check out Flashables, the digital version of all of our flashcards available on demand and at your fingertips wherever you go. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to be talking to you about different types of patient positions, giving you images of some examples of how this may look, and also, when applicable, talking to you about when this might be helpful or when it might be something that should be avoided. So first up, I want to talk to you about the supine position. Now, the supine position is when a patient is laying flat on their back in a neutral position. And we do have a cool chicken hint here to help you remember that supine means the patient is facing up. So there's a UP in supine, and that reminds you that the patient is facing up. Moving along to prone. Now, prone is the opposite of supine. It is the patient laying on their front in a neutral position, so they're going to be laying directly on their stomach. Couple of things to know about this. Prone positioning is ideal for patients who are needing their oxygenation status to be improved, especially when we're talking about respiratory distress syndrome. So you will often hear about patients who are proned, meaning that they are intubated, they are on a ventilator, and they are being turned onto their stomach on a schedule to allow for inflation of the posterior part of their lungs, because that will now be facing up. So very important to know that it does improve oxygenation with respiratory distress. Now, another big thing here to know though, and this one is bold red here on our card, which means you need to know it. Prone positioning is used to prevent hip contracture in patients who have had a recent lower extremity amputation. So very important for your test taking and your clinical practice to know that if my patient is here because they're post-op from a lower extremity amputation, there are very likely going to be some orders for how long this patient needs to spend in the prone position to prevent that hip flexion contracture. Now, we're going to move on to talking about the group of Fowler's positions. So we have 3 different types of Fowlers, and I'm going to go through them here with you. The first is semi-Fowlers. So with semi-Fowlers, this patient is sitting in bed with the head of the bed elevated 30 to 45 degrees. So just barely elevated. They're not sitting very high up. This is called semi-Fowlers. Now, Fowler's is the same position, however, with the head of the bed raised to 45 to 60 degrees. And lastly, we have high-Fowler's. And high-Fowler's is going to be with the patient sitting upright even more, with the head of the bed 60 to 90 degrees. Now, I want you to pause this video and I want you to think about who you think would benefit most from being in a high-Fowler's position. I hope you did pause it and think about it. The answer here is going to be patients who are having difficulty breathing. And I want to call your attention to this because sitting a patient up into high-Fowler's is one of the easiest interventions that I can do for somebody who is having difficulty breathing. I come in because my patient put their call light on, says they're having shortness of breath, a hard time breathing. I see that their bed is all the way flat or just a little bit elevated, then it's time for me to put them into high-Fowler's. This is a good place to start in your clinical practice and your test-taking environment before moving on to something more invasive or having to seek out additional orders. All right, now we're going to talk about lateral, or what is called sideline position. And this is how many of us are used to our patients being in bed. This is where the weight of the patient is going to be supported on the hip and shoulders, and they can be lying on either side. No problem there. All right. Now I'm going to move on to talk to you about a position called modified left lateral recumbent. But before I do, I want to talk to you a little bit about this position and another name you might hear it by. For your test-taking practice, for your NCLEX purposes, and in the hospitals too, you may hear this position referred to as Sims position. Sims position gets its name from J. Marion Sims, who is often referred to as the father of gynecology. J. Marion Sims only learned what he knew about gynecology by experimenting on enslaved women without their consent and without anesthesia, and again, using experimental techniques. When we talk about providing culturally competent care, we often think about this in terms of meeting our patients' cultural needs. However, I want to remind you that we also must examine these minute details of how racism can find its way into medicine. We have no business honoring a man who experimented on enslaved women by using his name to refer to a position. So, for our purposes, we will be referring to this as modified left lateral recumbent. You may also hear some other sources refer to this as exaggerated runner's position. This is all referring to what the tests and what many hospital systems will refer to as Sims position for your documentation. If you are working somewhere where this is referred to as Sims position, I would encourage you that this is a great time for you to step into that advocate role as a nurse and advocate for language change to be made to your hospital's documentation practices so that Sims position is no longer being referenced. Now that I've talked to you all about the history of the naming conventions of this position, let's talk about what it actually is. Modified left lateral recumbent is going to be a position that is a mix of prone and side lying. So typically, we are going to have the patient lying on their left side. So lying, it's really hard to explain, but they're lying on their left side with their left leg extended, meaning going straight down, and the right leg is flexed at the hip 90 degrees if possible. So this allows our patients to be in a position where we can give an enema most easily to these patients, and it may also be used for some different gynecologic or urologic procedures depending on the patient's mobility. Keep in mind though that if a patient does need to be in this position for a long time, you may need to be padding some of these pressure points so that they do not get pressure injuries from this uniquely taxing position. Moving on to the Trendelenburgs. So Trendelenburg is a position which describes a patient's bed being completely flat and the foot of the bed is elevated. So what this means is that the head of the bed is down, but the whole bed remains flat. There's no bend or angle to it. This is often used for different abdominal surgeries or different procedures that might be done, but sometimes you will see this being used to improve venous return in patients who are experiencing some mild hypotension. Just an important thing to know though about Trendelenburg position is that this is not a position to use for long periods of time because it does cause the blood to rush back towards the head, which in turn increases intracranial pressure and may not be suitable for your patient. We also have the reverse of that called, you guessed it, reverse Trendelenburg. We're very, very creative with our names here. Reverse Trendelenburg describes the opposite phenomenon, a flat bed where the head of the bed is elevated. Now keep in mind this is different from Fowlers, semi-Fowlers, high-Fowlers, etc., because the bed itself remains flat. There is no angle, there's no bend to my patient's body. Okay. Lastly, I want to talk to you about a position called lithotomy. And lithotomy is going to have your patient supine, so they're laying on their back, but their knees are flexed and abducted. Typically, their legs are going to be held in something called stirrups to support them, but any position where the patient is laying supine with their hips flexed and their legs abducted can be called lithotomy. This is very common when being used for gynecologic procedures. It can also be used for patients undergoing different urologic or rectal procedures as well. All right, I'm so glad you stayed until the end because I'm going to test your knowledge of key facts I provided in this video using our quiz questions. Which position is ideal for a patient with difficulty breathing? High Fowlers. How should a patient be positioned to prevent hip flexion contractures after lower extremity amputation? Prone. Which position is most commonly used for gynecologic procedures? Lithotomy. All right, that is it for this video. I do hope you learned something. If you did, would you leave a comment and let us know what you learned? We really like seeing it. And hey, if you have a great way of remembering something that I didn't mention in this video, leave that as a comment too. I like seeing it, but I know it's beneficial to other learners as well. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much and happy studying.
We invite you to subscribe to our channel and share a link with your classmates and friends in nursing school. And if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button and let us know what you found to be particularly helpful.